30 missiles fired by Iran at Israel from Sunday into Monday. Israel retaliating by targeting military sites in Iran. Those the tit-for-tat strikes, which for now have come once again to a pause. Both Iran and Israel saying that hostilities between them have halted after those attacks that threaten to reignite the Middle East war. Both sides, though, still reserving the right to fire again if they're attacked. Donald Trump says final negotiations towards peace are proceeding, as he put it, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way.
We have ongoing negotiations in Iran and with Iran, and that hasn't stopped. And we could have at least an idea by 1 or 2 days from now, but I think it's going well. The blockade continues to hold 100%. Nothing is getting through our blockade. No oil, no income, no nothing. Nothing's getting through the blockade.
Donald Trump, though, well, we're going to cross live to Jerusalem, talk to our correspondent Noga Tarnapolsky, who joins us from there. Noga, for now, at least then, calm descending again?
A very, very tense calm, and one in which at least people here in Israel have very little confidence, especially given that Hezbollah, which is an Iranian-backed militia in southern Lebanon, continues to, I would say, launch pot shots at Israeli soldiers who are in southern Lebanon and Israeli communities within the borders of the state of Israel. Israel, as you just mentioned, is absolutely retaliating. So it's really a confusing scenario, and you really are sensing in Israel, I would say, exhaustion in extremists of the population. People have no idea whether kids can or cannot go to school, whether they should plan on going to work or not. People are losing their businesses after such a long period of insecurity and daily danger, certainly in the north of the country. Just 2 days ago, you had almost half of the territory in Israel, the population, in bomb shelters. And now all of a sudden people are being told, oh, okay, it's over, with no explanation having been given about what this entire 1 day long mini war was about or what Israel may have gained. And it's causing what I would call an extreme malaise among Israelis.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the top there, Noga, we've now had that as well warning for people to move out from the city of Tyre in Lebanon. As you say, the fighting still ongoing there. I mean, presumably that does put still a major spanner in the works amid Donald Trump's attempts for peace negotiations.
That's right. I mean, what Donald Trump is trying to do right now, I think, is less ambitious than peace. I think he's simply trying to return to a status quo ante for the Strait of Hormuz. And so he's in negotiations with Iran over the possibility of real negotiations, which is what he was trying to do before the war. But what we see is that this area on the south of Lebanon and the north of Israel has become a proxy war. And so Iran, that subsidizes and manages to a certain extent Hezbollah, that can tell Hezbollah, you quit shooting now, you have to adhere to the ceasefire, or can say, do what you want, is trying to use this border area as a constant irritant, as a way to try to provoke Israel, successfully so far, into significant operations in Lebanon. And then the greatest gambit of all of Iran's plays during this war, which was to say, we shot Israel because they shot at a place, at a southern Beirut Hezbollah stronghold. Basically, Iran asserting a sort of sovereignty even over the Lebanese capital. And the fact that that was accepted by the United States in not so many words, that really is changing the balance. So I don't expect quiet in this border area anytime soon.
Finally, Noga, as the world watches this conflict, I mean, there's been much discussion about whether or not Netanyahu is being led by Donald Trump here. In Israel, though, I know you see that things are being seen rather differently.
Right. What we see in the U.S. are accusations that Donald Trump has been led by the nose by a wily Netanyahu, whereas in Israel, Netanyahu's position is now being seen as a complete humiliation by Donald Trump, who basically is giving the Israeli prime minister military orders at this point. It is a really interesting paradox that we're living through. I don't actually think this is contradictory. I think what we're seeing, the old line about victory, victory having 1,000 fathers and failure being an orphan. What we see is that somehow the leaders are trying to flee for responsibility for what is turning out to be a real mishap in Iran, and for Israel, possibly a quagmire in Lebanon. So in Israel, the emphasis really is on the fact that Netanyahu no longer appears to be the head of a sovereign state. He stops the fighting when Donald Trump tells him to. He engages in a little bit of extra fighting when Donald Trump gives him a wink, and he's being perceived as an utterly humiliated, failed war leader. Whereas in the United States, with Donald Trump, who ran for election as an anti-war president, now stuck in really a disastrous situation for him too, with gas prices rising and his stated aim of overthrowing the Iranian regime not even a pipe dream at this point. He also is searching. And so we're seeing more and more leaks out of Washington, D.C., implying that it's Israel that dragged him into it. I think a little bit of all of this is true, but it's just interesting to see the structure of this great alliance between these two leaders slowly begin to fall apart.